15 minutes, perfect time, perfect amount of learning. We even have it actually exactly in Likutei Halachos, where we're going to learn our relationship flow, chizuk in waking up early, especially the COVID. My beautiful son is here. This is Sheina hi ich bechinas Daas Daas. You got it? Zell. It's a concept of Daat and Emuna. We did discuss it last week during the Zman of Pirim. I just want you to see it inside. Here, here's where it is. I can't believe we went through Purim. You know, that's one of the Nekudas. Purim is actually there to wake us up. The Megillah wakes us up. Yeah, here. Yeah. Got it. So we actually got it in the text. Would you believe it? Finally. Last time it was the whole, I haven't chosen it yet, maybe I'm going to use it. So we have like this, Baruch Hashem. So we're holding in this middle of this whole Torah, but it's a Nekuda that you can understand. Shazel Ika, Shazel Ika Bechinas Sheina. Sheina is Istalkus, Salkin Azadas, Lagame, Sonkin, Rak, Alamuna. So if our Das is the most important thing we've been learning about again and again. Rebbe Nachman uses the word Da, the big Dalet, big Ayin from Shema and Achad. The idea of Das is very important. So what happens when your Das goes out, when you go to sleep? Comes in now with Somech on Rak al Emuna. Now you have to completely rely on Emuna. That's now Emuna kicks in. We said that the Lailas, the Golas, it's all the time of Stalkus Das. So comes in the Emuna as being the Amida Achas, everything standing on Emuna. That's what we're learning last time. Okay? She bechinas Kabbalas O Malch Shemayim Mekabel Malatz Mekodem Meshena. And that's one of the reasons we take upon the O Malch Shemayim, which we'll be learning about in other shirim. The O Malch Shemayim is the kingdom of heaven, which is O Malch Shemayim is Rosh Teva Shema. We say the Shema. Shema Yisrael Hashem Shema. That gives us the chizuk in the Emuna, in the kingdom of heaven means to do the will of God no matter what. It's a certain level of bittul, nullification to Hashem, or subjugation. I don't know. There's different words you can use. Yeah, you can find a better word. Do you have a better word? Service. I don't know. Yeah, Ayadei Krishma Shamita Shu Emuna Hayichud. This is the Nekuda. When we say the Krishma on the bed, this is a declaration of Emuna, and that it's the sovereignty, Hashem's sovereignty of absolute unity. This gets rid of all the Avodah Zorah from last week's Pasha, Kisisa, and this the whole Avodah Zorah, the generation of people running after other people. Like in the end, it's only Hashem Echad. And this is the true Emuna that we need to always aspire for, the Yichud, the unification. Firming our submission to Hashem and releasing our souls into His care is necessary because at the time of sleep, the Mo can enter into Emuna. Ki keneged edo kushya she efshel hashavin shem bechinas tokef hahoshech shalayla. What happens at night? There's an increase in the night, in the darkness. This powerful darkness that comes. This corresponds to the questions. We got a lot of kushyas, a lot of questions. You know, how's this? How's that? You know, you hear people nowadays, they're starting to ask questions. I was listening to a famous guy, and you've heard of him, Stephen Bartlett. He's called the Diaries of the CEO. My brother recommended him years ago. I don't usually listen to him that much. You've listened to him before, yeah. So he's at a point after years of being so-called atheist, there was the whole big explosion of atheist thought during the early 2000s. Thank God I was in yeshiva then, so I didn't really hear about it that much. I heard Rabbi Sachs was, debating Dawkins and all this stuff, but I wasn't really so involved in it, honestly, other than, someone like Rabbi Sachs would deal with it. I'd be samach on him to take it on. But we don't have a Rabbi Sachs, one. And two, there's a whole change of consciousness in the world where suddenly all these so-called atheists are realizing this hasn't done it for them. Yeah, hasn't worked. And they're starting to have questions and be curious. There's been an awakening towards religion, like Joe Rogan's become religious. People are starting to get more into religion. Obviously, they're not going to come to Judaism because we're not the best PR artists out there, and Israel as well. And so we have work to do in terms of getting the truth of the Torah to the world. But nevertheless, the need, the thirst for answers is there. This is the darkness that creates questions. The darkness got so much, the questions are getting stronger and stronger. But how do we deal with it as Am Yisrael? We deal with it through Amal Shemayim, through Kriya Shema, through Emuna and the Yichud. Sham Srika Nesalik Data Legame Bechinas Sheina Mamesh Samech Rak Al Emuna Levad. One needs to completely release and remove his das in the aspect of actual sleep and rely solely on Emuna. So the actual Avodah, unusually, where das is usually such an important thing, now Hashem's asking of you at this time of the night to remove your das and to be samech on your Emuna. And that gets rid of all the heresies through Emuna Shlema, through Yichud and Hashem, to understanding the Emuna, the true Hashkafa, the true way of looking at life is through Emuna. And this is the Avodah of Choshech, of at night, Shena, of removing the Daas and taking on yourself Emuna. Yeah, it's very important, because there's going to be times in your life, like during this war, people are going to be like, well, how do I go weiter, So the answer is Emuna. Zeh b'chinas kimas chatzos. And this idea of strengthening Emuna through sleep relates to rising at midnight. And this gives us chizuk again in this whole focus in the beginning of Shulchan Aruch, which is what we're learning, Likutei Halachos, which is Rebbe Nosson's Sefer, and Rebbe Nachman's Torah is the Pnimius of bringing it into Halacha, bringing the light of Rebbe Nachman into Halacha through the Talmud of Rebbe Nosson, we're taking that ore and we're bringing understanding of Shkamas Boka, waking up early, and it doesn't just go into wake up early, it means even waking up at Chatzos. That's how far Bresov, remember, Bresov is Nachman ben Simcha. Simcha is Rosh Tevis. Yeah, what's Rosh Tevis Simcha? Anyone remember? Shulchan Aruch, Mikveh, Chatzos, Hispodidus. This is the 4 pillars in Avodah of Hashkama. That you have Simcha is Shulchan Aruch. You have to keep the Shulchan Aruch, is what we're learning here, based on the Pnimius of Shulchan Aruch. And then there's the mikveh. You have to have tikvah. You have to have hope. Chatzos. Chatzos, what's learning here is an avodah of Emuna, of breaking our shena, breaking the taiva of sleep, tuning into the avodah of Emuna and Hashem. Moda'ani. The first thing we do when we get up in the morning is Emuna and Hashem Rabba Manasecha. And then even further, Chatzos, to wake up in the middle of the night, push ourselves even beyond, and it's us to have that deep relationship with Hashem, that deep kesher, that deep connection. That I heard from Dr. Uderman's wife. She was on one of these podcasts. She said, we don't use the word prayer, we use the word tefillah. Why? Because tefillah means connection. Prayer just means to ask for things. Tefillah means real connection. Yiddishkeit is about connecting to Hashem. That's true. That's a spodinus. For through sleep is a major rectification for the mochin, your consciousness. Since they're renewed through Emuna at the time of sleep, Mama says, be vigilant towards that. You say, wait a minute, but it's disrupting that process. Yeah, you're very firm about sleeping. Yeah, you like to sleep. So it's a normal teenage thing. And most people, when I was his, I wasn't so much like that, but a lot of teenagers love sleeping. Yeah, so they're very firm about it. They have to get the full share of sleep. Some older people also, really yekish about it. They have to have the 8 hours no matter what. The Rambam says. Because why? What's happening if you're learning at Pnimius? It's renewing your Emuna. But comes Rebbe Nachman and says, no, you've got to break that even a little bit. Either at the beginning of the night, the middle part of the night, or the end of the night, you've got to break a little bit. There's got to be some Indian of going out your comfort zone. That's the whole thing really of Rebbe Nachman. He's pushing it out of your comfort zone. Yeah, Hispodidus, pushing out your comfort zone. Now you have to face Hashem and talk to Him. Simcha is all about going out your comfort zone, breaking out your usual habit. One of the things my wife keeps asking me, my soulmate, and we're talking about relationship flow here, she all the time wants me, she's like a woman, what they want a man to lead them a little bit sometimes, not always, but in this situation that's what's happening. She wants them to lead you to a place more of simcha. What's simcha? Going out of your regil. They don't want to just be doing the dishes and making food and laundry. They want more to life. And that's fair enough, especially nowadays with all the masagim, with all the things they see online and stuff. A woman's going to need more. You can't just say, just stay in the kitchen kind of thing. It's not going to work this generation. You have to provide simcha. You have to provide. Simcha means going out of your regil. It means you have to once in a while do something different. It doesn't mean loads of money. It means thinking out your box, being a bit more creative, and not just being lazy in the relationship. It has to be investing in it. Yeah, a true banker invests all the time. So if you want to have your emotional bank account full, like Stephen Covey talks about, you have to constantly invest in it. Here's the Likutei Halachos talks about it over here. He says the idea from despair to repair. You're going to have all the time things going on. Every situation in life has a spark that needs to be lifted. This part of tikkun repair process, we need to go from talking about what happened to focusing on what we are doing to go about it. That's the big thing with Gedalia, execution, getting it done. Hear that, Baruch? We are here in this world to repair, not to fall into despair. Good line. The shift from what happened to me, what am I going to do about it? Every broken situation contains light, waiting to be lifted. Yeah, they don't want to hear, I'm having financial problems, excuses. Women don't need to hear your excuses. They want you to do something about it. Yeah, Every broken situation contains light waiting to be lifted. The process, stop rehearsing the problem, start creating the solution. Find the spark in the darkness, lift it through action. The purpose, you're here to repair, not to despair. The practice, that's talking about what went wrong, more doing to make it right. That's something English people, I have a big problem with that. So it's like we get trained to be cynical. I don't know if you ever met English people, moan a lot, sarcasm, that kind of stuff. We have to change. I can't be English anymore in that stuff. I can have a bit of sense of humor. English sense of humor is quite funny. But the other stuff, like the moaning and excuses and complaining about the weather, that's nothing to do with it. We've got to do more to make it right. Transform every breakdown into breakthrough. The truth, every situation is your chance to lift the spark. Stop despairing, start repairing. That's it. What can I do with this? There's a spark there. How can I elevate this situation? How can I reveal that spark of Kedusha, that holiness? So it comes to Rebbe Nachman, he says it's through chatzos, through waking up in the middle of the night. Sleep is a major recreation for the mochin. So you get new mindsets. You're thinking out the box. Your mind is open to different realities. Since they're renewed through Emuna at the time of sleep, nevertheless, you still have to get up at midnight. It's divided into two parts tonight. There's the first part of the night till midnight. And the second part of the night is it's brought in the Zohar. The Zohar, it says in Kiddus Yaakov, the first night is called Lel. That's the time of din and of judgments, and we've been talking again and again about sweetening the judgments. And then the second part is Laila with a hey, which is when the chasodim start to prevail, the kindness prevails. That's because our teacher, whoever studies Torah after midnight, is with a chut shel chesed in the day. Famous Gemara in Avodah Zarah. Yeah, then you get that chut shel chesed. Daf Gimel, Amid Beis, Avodah Zarah. That's the Gemara. Because David Jerome was asking about that last night in the Farbrengen, this is the Gemara. Yeah, the chut shel chesed comes down. In the merit that you wake up midnight, you bring down this chut shel chesed into your life, this kindness. But it takes a little bit of breaking what's easy. It's easy just to lie in bed, to break it a little bit. The first half of the night is more judgment and din are more intense. That's when the darkness times arise for aspects of questions insolvable. I don't know if you get to that point where you're just exhausted, you're tired. Your mind's not going to solve things. You're not going to resolve anything. You're in a state of confusion. Yeah, those questions represent the deepest darkness as they cannot be resolved. Therefore, during that time, what's the answer now? The night time is I need to sleep. I need to get renewed Emuna. I need to depart from Daas. I'm not here to resolve things right now. There's a time to resolve things. Also a very good point in Shalom Bayis. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's not a time to deal with heavy, difficult problems in life. You know when the time is? Morning, usually. There's times soon. Tony Robbins is an expert in this kind of stuff. And Tzaddikim Vadai in tune with this. They knew when the times are most roy, you have the most energy and the most das to now take on the bigger issues. And then you organize your day to be more effective for less, as you get less and less consciousness and less little mochin in your mind and more tired, then you take on the easier tasks. You have to organize your day according to your das, not according to whatever the wind blows. That's not, Tzaddikim have a say that they're effective in their use of time. The morning is the best time to do the big projects. And then as the day goes on, yeah, and your das is less there, then you take on the easier things. I mean, hopefully. I mean, the only problem is in Israel, we're often working American hours, so often doing the opposite, yeah, which is a little bit of a problem. Yeah, but nevertheless, Hashem will give us such a mind to figure it out, that we'll be able to have the das for each time and each requirement, what we need to take care of. But that time late at night, now it's time to get rid of the das and just rely on Emuna. This is the aspect of sleep. So it's like that as numtik din and nistalkim in a das elo hakushas now. Midnight the din is mitigated, and those questions that can't be resolved apart from the mind not even thinking about those problems anymore. Now it's the time, pure time of where you can just learn and daven. Pure time. Now you don't need to be busy with your mundane stuff and your problems in life and your questions. Now you're busy with serving Hashem. A pure time, a pure avodas Hashem, davening and learning. That's why even my son had on his phone, I don't know, some funny guy was saying you shouldn't, first thing you do, wake up in the morning, deal with your phone, deal with issues. First, it's a pure time. Now it's a time to set your mindset for the rest of the day. And I'm saying this to myself because I need to work on. My wife's actually giving me a big push to do this. We'll just end off now because it's a 50-minute part. Asvikin lekum la'asok b'Torah v'avoda v'ayidei zeh mamshichim Daas shvilei seichel. By doing so, we'll draw Das and unblock the pathways of the intellect. Kedei lezachos l'das shalem yeshev lahavin teretz ha'elu kush efshel yashavim. And through that, through unblocking all the pathways and opening up the Das, the consciousness, now we'll merit the complete Das necessary for resolving and comprehending the answers for those questions that can now be resolved. So we only get there, though, if we get the Seder right. A lot of us are approaching everything backward. There's a way to do it, the Derech Tzaddikim, Derech Emuna, where you suddenly now have a way to deal with the problems. It's all about the mindset, but getting the mindset functioning in the most effective way that you'll have the right mindset for this problem, for this situation. I have to say to my wife, like, now's not the time for this. And she gets so upset. She's like, whenever's ever the time. All right. So she's right. I have to make that time. But right now, it's not the right time. My mind is so constricted. And the women, they're like, don't let go if you had that experience. But you've got to get to a point where you're real with her and say, no, there really is an actual time.
You have to actually make the time to...
Yeah, and when it's good, when you're fresh.
That's a very good point, yeah.
And then
it's different following along, so you get to see the words.
Yeah. It's good. We'll make more of an effort on that. Be'ez Hashem, we should be zocher Be'ez Hashem.
Amen.
It's a good mochin, it's a good times for Emuna, times for Das, and to be most effective in the applications of the eitzes of the Tzaddikim. And with that, Be'ez Hashem, we'll have Shalom Bayis, we'll have Hinech Bonim, we'll have Simchas and Nachas, and please God, this Pasha B'Yaakov B'Kudei will be a time of ultimate Yichud, a Sefer Geula, will be the Geula Shlema for all of Am Yisrael. We'll have the Yichud Shalem, Amen v'Amen.